I got on my hands and knees and I cried and I prayed and I just relaxed for the first time. Sometimes the devil will allow you to live a life free of trouble so you don't go looking for God.
Yeah, bro, that's a bomb.
All of a sudden I could drink for free, go anywhere for free I wanted. People giving me drugs for free. Like, I was making money doing that. So I was like, this is like the best thing ever. But I didn't know at the time the devil gives with one hand, but he takes with two.
What would you recommend to make sure they don't go down the path you went down?
I recommend Jesus Christ.
Welcome back to the locker room, guys.
Welcome back to the Locker Room Chat podcast, guys. I'm here with Chris and Bailey, and we have a very special guest today, don't we, Chris?
We do.
So this man is, a long-time friend of mine. We've known each other for a few years now. He was actually one of the OGs in the social media game.
Literally OG.
OG back in, 2014, 15, 16 era. OG one in Australia. He's gone through a really crazy transformation in his life as well, where, he was sort of involved in the party scene and the influencer scene as well.
But we'll touch on that later.
We'll touch
Because
on
that's
that later.
the juice.
That is the juice. Amassed a massive following of over, a couple million followers across the board from some videos similar to what I used to do as well. And, that's some
Housekeeping.
Bro, what?
Wait, do we have to check? That's a housekeeping.
Pause. That's
Yeah,
so
open
funny.
Bro, you're joking.
Pause there.
Check out.
I think we
Yeah.
said 12 on the Airbnb, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. I think they said it's fine, 12.
Pretty sure they said 12.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bro, that's
you think I'm not on
Bro,
point with the content still?
It's good. Break the ice.
Anyways, please welcome to the locker room, Mitch
Mitch
Orville.
Orville. Yeah, let's go.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, man.
gonna be a good
You've
one.
had a crazy story, bro.
Yeah, it hasn't been a normal life, has it?
Yeah.
But I feel like I've experienced a lot, and it's humbling. You know what I mean? I feel like I'll never die wondering anymore.
Absolutely. You've done it
that's
all, and here you are.
It'd be cool to keep it in a chronological order.
Sure.
Yeah.
From where it all started.
Well, my parents had sex when they were like, I was
What age, what time? Bro,
And then
my
I was
mum
born?
sometimes tells me, oh, darling, I remember the exact
thought you were
afternoon we
gonna
made
say,
you.
"Oh,
I'm like, don't tell me
I
that.
thought she was going to say, darling, I still have sex.
Yeah, we cut that out. Anyway,
Right, that's the clickbait. So your parents obviously,
yeah, they made me.
they conceived you, you grow up, we know that.
how old are you, by the way?
27, turned 28 in
27.
July. Yeah.
So you're 6 or something?
96, yeah.
Oh,
Good
there you
math.
Look at you, mate.
I did my
he's
research,
Asian.
didn't I?
He's good at math. He's good at math.
All right, going back to kind of where it all kicked off.
He pulls us
before
back
this
in
goes-
line.
We always do.
You don't
That's
need one of them.
That's why we have
They're
Bailey.
important.
We go
This is
tangents.
going to go, yeah. I don't know where these guys are going to take it. But going back to, it's actually
and
cool
see.
hearing that kind of intro for me because hearing that, as you said before, you and Jamie actually have very similar stories and
Yeah.
kind of
Crazy
paths
similar.
in life.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't know you as well as Jamie does, but hearing the story and what he's saying is it's almost like you guys have gone through so many similar experiences in the content side of things, even the party lifestyle, and then finding God off the back
and
of
the
that.
dad stuff.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
even going to
Bro,
that, you guys, your
that-
content
for a
style was
while.
literally the same.
Well, I think it might be a good conversation then, because I think that's where things become relatable. And when
Definitely.
you can relate, you can,
100%,
you can
bro.
build off.
Yeah. So to
100%.
kick it off, going
Yeah,
back
take us
to
back.
how did the content things start for you? Obviously, yeah.
So-
What year was it? Yeah.
This is
tell us
I always say, it was really weird for me because it didn't exist. You know what I mean? It wasn't
So
a
true.
thing that you could just no one. When I started creating content, no one created content for it to be a career or to be a thing. It was you did it for the love of it, and you did it for just it was almost a laugh. It was a laugh.
Yeah.
I pranked my dad once, put it on my personal Facebook page, and then I had friend requests and random comments, a few likes, and I
From
was
first
this is-
video?
yeah, first.
But was he
video.
always
Wow.
was he always angry and you're like, this guy will be hilarious?
So nuts, still the exact same.
Really?
Oh, it hasn't changed.
That's mad.
I love that.
So
So it's authentic,
Yeah.
bro.
Well, 100%. That was what gave it the legs
Genuine,
and the
yeah.
the relatability. I know that it worked in Australia because a lot of people can relate to having that
So many.
situation
Yeah,
as kids. It's Australia's we're pretty off tap. You know what I mean? Our
Definitely,
parents are all
definitely.
Yeah.
they're pretty true blue Aussie, and
And your dad
Yeah.
just represents that.
he
so
was
well.
he was the heart of it. Hey,
Yeah,
he was
yeah, yeah.
the walking billboard for an Australian dad.
Did he hate?
Yeah.
Did he hate the pranks? like, did he secretly like him? You know how they're
This
like,
is how I always
oh, why'd you do that? That was funny, but
This is how I always explain it. Like at the start, it was so mad because like he didn't even have Facebook at the start. You know what I mean? So I was like, we had this incredible run where we were prank and upload, and he just didn't comprehend. What was
dude, I
going
got
on.
a similar story. But continue. Yeah.
He didn't he didn't comprehend like what was going on, and like we grew quite quick. You know what I mean? I remember
100%.
overnight we jumped up like 50,000 page likes off one video.
Overnight.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I remember like being like, yeah, this thing's like
Yeah, it's
got
got
legs.
legs.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
And just
Like,
for context, sorry to interrupt, for the viewers that maybe wouldn't know your content, like Mitch and your brother as well.
Yep, Dylan.
Did content where you pranked your Aussie dad.
Yep.
And you guys got like a couple million followers on Facebook.
Yep.
You guys were,
Angry
as I said in
Dad.
the intro, Angry Dad. So
Yeah, you guys
just
were
in
proper
case the guys are
viral.
wondering like what you did.
yeah.
What was your most viral video, you reckon?
Yeah.
There was this honk if you're horny video.
Oh, I saw that
oh,
one.
I
Put
saw that,
the-
bro.
the
That was
second one.
amazing.
That had like across like Unilad, Lad Bible,
Oh,
through
yes.
all of those pages. That was like probably close to 100 million views across
Yeah. That's
every page.
crazy.
that you
On
shared.
one video.
I was genuinely
minute,
pissing
yeah.
myself, bro.
Yeah, I
His
remember that
reactions are so authentic. It's
Yeah.
not like, oh no, like
Yeah.
he's fucking fuming, and it's such a good prank. It's so
Yeah.
good,
That was-
and you were
Where
like one of the early
the ones where you drop the protein farts in the car.
They were my favorite
That's
videos
mad.
always because he used to just like, it was the little trick. Like what I realized for him is like, you know, anyone's going to flip out over a massive prank, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
the little things. If you can wind him up in the
Yeah.
littlest ways and you
Yeah.
can get that reaction, that's where people are like, wow, like that's
Yeah.
like that's so crazy. So
Bro.
that's what I always tried to just do, like the little things with the biggest reactions, and that was always
sure.
what worked
That's
for us.
mad.
Bro, I remember going to China just one year because I used to visit my dad in China every single year. Still do.
So your
And
dad
yeah.
lives in China?
What's that, sorry?
Your dad lives in China?
He lives in China,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
in Shanghai,
I didn't
yeah.
know
They
that.
they moved here and they lived here for his,
So I was
his
born.
childhood.
I was born in Sydney, and then my dad left back to China when I was 4 years old. So I
Yeah,
used to
wow.
always go there and visit him. So every video you guys see is basically in China.
Wow,
Most.
that's even makes it more like
Yeah,
organic, I feel.
exactly. So I just remember like that first video. I was so reluctant to prank my dad because like our relationship, it's like an Asian father-son relationship. Obviously, I'm Aussie, but like it still felt that way because my dad's like study hard, do good in your job and school and all these sorts of things.
Yeah.
But I just remember like the first time I ever pranked my dad, I was so nervous, bro. And it was on the last day of my trip as well. I was like, should I do this or should I not? And I just remember like from the first reaction that he gave me, I was like, whoa, like this is actually like something decent.
But
Yeah.
yours was even more crazy because I don't know about your full story with your dad, but like Jamie was worried when he started doing social media that his dad would be like so against it.
Yeah.
He'd be like disappointed, not proud of him. So that wasn't even an extra element from going like, I don't even want to tell my dad I do social media.
Yeah.
Like he
You're-
was
you're part
already a
of it.
big, like a pretty big deal before he started doing the prank videos with his dad. So imagine going from like, I don't want to tell my dad I do social media to like, I might make him a feature and a big feature.
It was nuts because the first time I told my dad I was doing social media, bro, he blew up at me for 2 hours on the phone. Blew up. He's like, no, you're going to ruin your life because he was a film
Dad
director.
talk. You got a dad talk, bro.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
wow.
he was in the industry, obviously the more traditional TV film, but he knows what's up in that industry. And he goes, you can't do it. So, and then moving on to making that first video and me not having any idea that it'd get like, I think it was like 5 mil views overnight on Facebook or something,
Wow.
something crazy. And I'm like, what? Like, I don't get it. But then I got it because I'm like, same as what you said. It's like
Relatable.
Like, oh, if I did that to my dad, especially because my dad's Asian, more conservative, he'd kill me. So like, we have a lot of, we should have done a video like me pranking your dad, you pranking mine or
Oh,
something.
no, that would have gone
Oh,
off.
you still can't? Nah.
Question off the back of that. Oh, you gonna go?
I had a question. Just
Yeah.
sorry. I was gonna say, can you guys, both of you, think of the time when you first told your dad, if you did, you're famous? Like, and how did that go about? Like, Dad, you're actually fucking famous.
He
Oh,
found
dude.
out. He found out the hard way. He started going
People coming up to him.
everywhere. And his was really quick. You know what I mean? It was like
Yeah.
a bit of
Yeah.
an overnight success, you'd almost say.
Interesting.
And he didn't have Facebook at the time, and he just couldn't. He couldn't
He's getting
comprehend
angry.
what was going on.
He's getting
just
angry.
like, what the
Why is
hell-
everyone
yeah.
coming up to me and saying hi and
Yeah.
taking photos?
And he actually copped it in a bit more, where people would like stir him and stuff. Like, and I was used to think like, buddy, you don't know what you're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're barking
It's
up
not-
the wrong
he's-
tree.
This is an act. You know what I mean? Like, I'll
I'll
just,
go
like,
angry dad on you in a second.
enter at own risk. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Because like, we'll
Off the,
flip.
No way.
off the back of that,
Well, yeah.
I was just gonna say, you could probably relate to this as well. But did it ever affect the relationship? Where like, do you think it made it a bit toxic because you're always pranking, or did it flip the other way where it was like it brought you close together because you're bonding over creating content and stuff?
It did make it like, it was a bit exciting. for the family. You know what I mean? It was a different like
Yeah.
world that none of us had ever entered. But I do think that there's I think what makes a close family is like, you know, the bond that's inside the house, you know what I mean? Inside the four walls. I do think it, like for a period there, it did become about social media too much, where it's like,
You only want to hang out with him
things
maybe
become
for a
about
video.
what people are thinking and seeing rather than what's actually going on at the core. So I think that there was an element where, you know, life became a bit more about how things looked online rather than how it was in the four walls.
Interesting.
But
Did that affect the relationship?
I wouldn't say it affected it, but I'm quite a deep person, you know what I mean? Like I like how things feel, not how they look.
Of course.
So I think like the more that our lives have become less about social media, the better it has been for us at the core.
Yeah,
That's
right.
interesting.
Yeah,
That's
that's
cool.
very interesting.
Because
Because
because just tying back to what you the initial question about when your dad found out he was famous. Like I have a bit of a different story because so your dad sort of experienced it instantly, right? Because you know, I guess you post a video and then you're in the country of the video being posted. And that happened with me as well when my stuff started to pop, you know, back in the day. But for my dad, bro, it was so weird because he lives in China. So he had no idea what was going on, first of all, because China's kind of like a little bit behind in the social media world. So there wasn't even a thing called pranks in China at all. So no one had ever seen pranks.
he was getting hundreds of millions or tens of millions of views and he
He
didn't
had
even
no
know
idea-
it.
But
He
then
had
you
no
started
idea.
getting big in Asia as well. And then
Yeah, so I guess what like the sequence of events was like the first video was posted and then he had no idea the impact. I would tell him numbers, he'd be like, yeah, cool. But it wasn't until he came to Australia a year and a half later
He realized.
where he walked on the street with me and everyone's asking him for photos. He's like, what have I done? And then we got invited to go to China for a satellite TV station episode or like a show of like Jamie brings his father on a trip. And bro, like we went to Macau, which is like a city in China.
Yeah.
And bro, like we just got mobbed. And he goes, what is going on? Like we're in a different country.
Yeah.
To-
Why, did you
so-
like it or not?
I think he liked it.
Yeah.
Bro,
Yeah.
I
but
think you can't not.
Yeah.
we'll
Did
be
your dad
out.
like it?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
100%.
Did
He
you ever-
loved it.
He loved it? Yeah, yeah.
He loved it.
It's
I knew he
attention-
loved
it's
it. And
attention
that's what sort of
fans.
made the pranks even become a bit harder, if that makes sense. Because it's like
Yeah,
when you're
okay.
angry and actually annoyed at something versus when you know what the repercussion's going to mean,
Yeah.
which is like virality and fame. It is become harder because
Yep.
it's like you sort of have that click where it's like,
No, you
But
got
we'd go out, bro, and like girls will come up to Jamie and he's like, yeah, I'm in. And they'll be like, hey, Jamie.
My old self.
Yeah, the old self. the non-Christian self. Now girls, if they come up to him, he's like, sorry, man of God. but before, bro, he'd come up, like a group of girls would come up to him. He's like, yeah, boys, I'm in. And they're like, where's your dad? And he's like,
For me, and that was great what you said about your relationship with your dad, but I think for me it became like, I kind of started feeling bad for me personally because I didn't live with him. So I ended up thinking to myself, like, am I just going to see my dad every year? Like, am I seeing
Yeah,
him
I know,
5
yeah.
times in a year versus 1
Yeah.
so I can create content with him?
yeah, for a transactional relationship.
Yeah,
more than an
exactly.
authentic
That's
one.
it.
But then on the
Exactly.
flip side, he was so supportive because obviously, like, especially Asian dads, like, career is number 1. He was willing to do whatever. But then I could just tell sometimes he'd be like, oh, all right, like, that's enough. But then I think we spoke about this yesterday. It did bring us together even more, like,
yeah.
closer.
Yeah.
So,
'Cause you have a common bond about something you both enjoy.
Yeah.
And it's bringing your son success.
Yeah.
But
And
was from a content perspective, was it harder to keep the videos authentic once he kind of knew? Like both of you,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
he knows. All right, Jamie's around. There's a camera. Like, should
I used
I
to do
should
the
I
selfie
start?
pranks.
Should I start
You
the
hid
character?
yours,
You know
right?
what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's where I just pretty much retired it. You know what I mean? I understood like everything has a comes for
time.
a season.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
okay.
And it was a great season, and it was.
definitely. Agreed.
Yeah, it like it did what it had to do, and I've never wanted to be someone that just flogs a dead horse. You know what I mean? And makes
Yeah.
their life
That's important, bro.
Very important.
makes like their life become a character and ties themselves to one thing forever, and that's your identity.
That's
You know what I
amazing.
mean? Like I
Yeah.
think it's important to be able to pivot and to grow and to try different things. And like I was happy with what I did. You know what I mean?
That's a
I
good
executed
takeaway.
something that I enjoyed, and like I think it serviced everyone and gave everyone a chance at a different thing in life, and I
sure,
think
for
it
sure.
worked, and I have no regrets.
Love it, bro.
That's a
Amazing.
good
Well, I
takeaway
think-
for the boys at home.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you don't, something can have a season. It can have an end date. But if you finish at the top, as you said, you can use that and pivot into something else.
100%.
Yep. Yep.
And I think that's an important thing. It's like you can so easily tie yourself to an identity, and before you know it, like
That's
you
you.
think that's it, and that's the only
it.
thing that you've got, and that's the only thing you're stuck or tied to. Where it's like it's just not true. Even
It's
if
your
something
self-worth.
works, you're not tied to it.
100%.
You think it's your
Love that.
self worth.
Yeah.
That's all you have to offer.
Yeah, we're big on identity. Well, I guess it's the perfect segue. So, like, you know, got heaps of views, eyeballs, probably one of the first people, or you guys are some of the first people to get all this kind of social media attention, right? It would have changed a lot. How did that change your lifestyle and sort of, you know, did it change your lifestyle? Did
Yeah.
it get you
Did that
involved
contribute
in
to-
certain
yeah.
things or
Massive.
access to certain indoors parties? Like, what? All right, the first phase is, all right, you got this attention, eyeballs. That also gives you, like, you know, social status or credibility or connections. What happens after that? Where did it take you? What path did you go down?
Yeah, bro. I went down like the path, the wrong. Like I was 18 years old and I was running.
lifestyle.
Oh, you were
nightclubs.
18.
I was
Wow.
18. So and I was running nightclubs 3 times a week.
Yeah.
The
Like,
lifestyle,
nightclubs that you couldn't
yeah.
get into at 18.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I was
You win the
running
life.
the
Oh,
night. So it's
really?
like I had all
In
of,
Melbourne, right?
Yeah, in Melbourne. So I had all of this, like, these things given to me, but I didn't know at the time. Like, you know, the devil gives with one hand, but he takes with two. So it's like he was giving me this life where I was like, okay, all of a sudden I could drink for free, go anywhere for free I wanted. People giving me drugs for free. Like, everything was free. And I just lived this, like, at 18, every kid wants to go out and do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was
It's a
like,
big lure.
it was like I was making money doing that. So I was like, this is like the best thing ever.
It's
was
the
that
dream
related,
at the time.
Was that related to your brand and your fame as well?
Yeah, it was just like it was. My
Part of the
brand
life.
was just like, you know, I was like these 2 prankster sons with a crazy dad. You know what I mean? I had no identity outside of that, so I was
Absolutely.
like, I could
Yep.
just, you know, I just went with the wind, and I was like, I took opportunities that came. I had no moral code at that point. It was like, you know,
But here comes the but.
yeah. But then I realized like that's it. It was not servicing me. It was a very empty life, and I went down like a really bad path on drugs. Like, the other thing was I thought it was quite like normal because everyone else around me was doing it. You know what I mean? And it was like given to me. It was like it was just there. It was always a part of what I was doing. And then I was like, no, this ain't it. Hey, like there was something that just I never felt right.
How long did it take you to sort of realize that? Was it like a few years? Where
And
you,
it was
you know?
often like off and on. Like
right.
it was like 2.5 years, and then I fell back into some old habits, and
Yeah.
it's forever a journey.
Yeah,
you know
right.
what I mean. It's
What was
like
your biggest stronghold, would you say?
my biggest stronghold. It would probably been honestly regulating my emotions. I realized like I used it to regulate myself, and I had such high highs from 18 years old. Like it was like my life wasn't here; it was
Yeah.
up there. So that after that was all finished, like
With high highs comes
low lows. And I
Absolutely.
was afraid of the low lows. And I would always try and just keep myself what at my time was my base level, which wasn't sustainable. So it was like I had to really get used to, you know, having low moments.
Yep.
It's almost like I was actually listening to some, like, I don't even know what band it was. I don't really listen to music like that. But he was talking about, like, you know, the reason why a lot of people in rock and roll and that are all like hooked on drugs is because you go out, you play these shows, you have these highest of highs and feeling.
They need to keep
And
feeling
you need
that.
to keep feeling it, and you become used to it. Because it's like if you're on touring and you're doing that stuff all the time, your body becomes used to those highs, and your new base level is so high that it's like just a normal day feels so low for you.
I guess you being 18 as well, like, did you ever have like normal jobs before you got into there, or was it like your foundation started from that hype and that dopamine and that attention? Because I know some people, I won't mention their names, but I know like a group of guys that got really famous and they had never ever like intended on it, and they'd never like had normal jobs, and when they got thrown into it, it was like, wow, like, okay, this is my new normal. Then
money.
after it all comes crashing down, they had no idea what to do, and they didn't have that almost like normal upbringing to know how to sustain the lows and the hard times.
Yeah. Well, to a degree, that was sort of my thing. Like, the only normal job I've ever had was I worked at Fitness First for 3 months selling memberships. And then, like, I was like, I can't, why would I even be doing this? Because I make that much more doing that. I'd rather put the time into that.
Yep.
And yeah, I think the one thing that I was pretty like lucky that I did do was I didn't just rely on social media. I sort of went into a lot of like different business adventures, and I tried to create things. I made things. I had businesses and brands and stuff. So I got to learn a lot.
Yep.
So you leveraged your social media
Yeah,
quite
I
well.
leveraged my social media, and I got put into some pretty good like rooms and networks where it was like, okay, I actually got to learn what goes on and what it is to own and to create businesses.
Yeah,
so
that helps.
I guess once I did settle down in what I was doing social media, I had this like network that I'd created that I'd also been able to leverage off and be like, okay, I actually have opportunity. Now I can just leverage the opportunity. And I have, you know, the somewhat brains to be able to navigate that world, even though I'm not qualified to do so. But it's like I've actually done it a few times now.
Yeah.
So it's like I have that foot in the door.
If there's sort of like some younger guys out there listening, right? Because you can sort of relate to this as well, Jamie. You sort of get the fame, even money. Say some people get crypto millionaires. There's 18-year-olds out there who are crypto millionaires. You don't have the foundational skill sets to regulate yourself. You don't have an identity. You're still trying to figure out who you are in the world. Let's say you could go back, speak to your younger self, and you know this young 18-year-old is going to get $10 million, fame, hundreds of likes. What would you recommend them to do? What is there sort of like, you know, practices, or, you know, is it having a mentor, or what would you recommend to make sure they don't go down the path you went down?
I recommend Jesus Christ.
Bang.
Love that,
Because
bro.
I tried
There we go.
everything else.
That's your
I tried-
that's
Love
your
it.
mentor.
That's your mentor.
Yeah.
It's like I've tried everything else. It's like put your applause in heaven, not other people. You know what I mean? It's quick. As much as other people can build you up, they can tear you down. You know what I mean? It's like, bro, Jesus gives us all the answers. It's like we've got a book right there,
100%.
and it's like that will sustain you. Everything else won't. Everything else is short term, and everything becomes relative really quickly. It doesn't matter how many millions it is. Doesn't matter how much followers it is. It will become relative to you, and you'll always want more. It's like, or you can give your life to God. You have someone who loves you no matter what, unconditionally. Most of these people only know transactional love anyway, because it's like you build these friendships, you build all of these things.
can
off
they get from you?
What they can get from you.
Yes.
Where it's like you've got someone that takes you as is right now. Doesn't matter how bad or how good you are. Like a lot of people always talk to me about like, oh, you know, but I've done this, I've done that. You know what I mean? I'm like, look at Apostle Paul. He used to cut the head off Christians. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? He used him to build his whole army. It's like you're never too far gone.
Yep.
It's like you come to him as you are.
God still loves you.
And that's the love. Like, and it's like you put your foundation in that and you walk that narrow path,
Bro, you're speaking, yeah.
then
Love that.
you will experience a level of security and peace that you can't get elsewhere. And like, believe me, I've tried.
Yeah.
I really have tried. And like, nothing else works. And it's like God always, and this is the thing, like people think, oh, you become Christian now, you know, life's perfect. Is it like, no, it's actually like, you know, you've got like, it actually, my life almost got harder. And it wasn't until I understood that, you know, once you follow God, you have an opposition as well,
That's
right?
right.
And
Yeah.
what the God wants for you, the devil wants the
Devil
complete
wants-
opposite.
yeah,
And
exactly.
I love this saying. It's like sometimes the devil will allow you to live a life free of trouble, so you don't go looking for God.
So-
Yeah.
So it's like
Bro,
you might
that's
be,
a bomb.
so you might be going down that path, and it's like you think everything's good, it's easy. I don't have much obstruction. You know what I mean?
not the
Everything's just-
reality.
it's not. It's that's your. When that's happening to you, you should actually probably have a quick reality check and think, okay, if I'm not doing enough to have those obstructions, then you're
Yes.
probably on the wrong side.
On track, exactly.
100%.
Bro,
Look,
it's
look
so
around
true.
the world,
So
bro.
true, man.
People just assume exactly what you said. People just assume, oh, you're Christian. God's going to make everything fluffy and perfect. There's Christians all around the world that are struggling with poverty,
Massively.
with like so many different issues. They're not all just living happy, perfect lives. Sure, they've got God and they've, you know, got something bigger than them, but it's not perfect. It's hard.
The devil will give you disappointment to destroy your faith. God will give you disappointment to build your faith.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's true. Yeah,
Wow.
love that,
Bomb,
man.
I love that.
I love what you
Wow.
said about sort of like supernatural peace as well. Like we've sort of all experienced that as well on our side of things. You try, we've all tried our own way. Everyone's tried it, and it's so hard to comprehend when you haven't experienced it because you don't know what you're missing out on, right? You think, oh, I'm sweet,
Fairy
I've
tale,
got everything sorted. I can back myself. But until you actually experience that supernatural peace and understanding, when you're walking in it, you're like, I can't not tell people about this and share this because people don't know what they're missing out on.
Yeah.
Like it's completely life changing. I love that you touched on that.
And it's like it's not to have your own actual experience. It's like after we got robbed, so we got broken into in a home invasion. We were robbed,
really?
and I couldn't sleep for a long time.
Is that recent or?
It's about
Like PTSD.
3 years ago. Yeah,
Oh,
I had massive PTSD, and that was when I went like I got prescription marijuana. I was like, that was my only thing I could sleep. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Then I had kids and stuff, and I was like, I don't want this for me. You know what I mean? But it was the only thing that was bringing me comfort. I tried everything to stop smoking weed. Couldn't sleep. Couldn't do anything. Right.
And that was when you were a Christian?
No, just before. So I just became Christian, and this is where I was starting to think, no, I can't have this. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
God
That's
started
not-
changing your heart
God
a
started
bit.
changing my heart.
Yeah.
I tried everything on my own to stop smoking weed. I'm telling you, everything. Right. One day I was in my apartment when I was in the View in Broadbeach, and it got too much for me. I said, I got on my hands and knees and I cried and I prayed, and I literally said, whoa, what was that feeling? It was like I just relaxed for the first
So
time.
this was the moment.
This was the moment I
This is what I
stood
was
up,
gonna ask you.
right? And I said, whoa. I said, I feel different. And I thought, I didn't think too much of it. I said, okay. I said, now I just need to get through the day. Boom, 24 hours later, I didn't smoke. I didn't feel like I needed
That
to
is
smoke.
crazy.
I said, okay,
Wow.
this is interesting. So I threw out all of my stuff. I said, okay, I'm going to take that. Boom, threw it out. And I always had it there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah,
Because
it was
it was
like a
how
vice
I
almost.
regulated.
Yeah.
I needed it to regulate. Threw it all out. 2.5 years later, I never smoked weed again.
Wow.
Bro, that's amazing.
Bro.
And I felt the feeling. I literally, and I was like, you know, they say when God, you show your heart to God and you believe in it. I gave it to him. I said, please, like I pleaded. I said, I'm done. You know what I mean? And I didn't try and do it on my own. I didn't say, I'm going to go, I'm going to do this step. I'm going to follow this. I promise on that. No, I just said, I just don't want it. I can't carry this anymore.
Yeah.
Bro,
That's an
I
amazing testimony.
think it's important to be like, that's where I've never, cause that's why I love my encounter and my like story with God, because it's like, I didn't grow up with it. You know what I mean? It's like, I found it on my own and on my own terms, which is like, it gives me the ability to relate to the other side, because it's like, if I was pre-Christ listening to that, I wouldn't believe it either. I wouldn't hear it. I wouldn't like you don't even resonate with it. It's like, it's literally
almost
just
triggers you almost.
it's just mumbo jumbo to you. You don't,
cool, bro.
there's no,
Yeah.
there's no spiritual side to it. You don't feel it. You don't hear it. You don't believe it. It almost just does in one ear, out the other.
Yeah.
Yep.
Whereas it's like, you're very hard to preach to someone like that.
Yep.
It's like your spirit's not ready, and it's like, I understand that, you know what I mean? It's like, I have no like, where I'm like, come on, like that's what no, it's your own journey. And I just pray one day that you experience it
Yeah.
for yourself,
Yeah.
because no one else can tell you.
Yeah.
you
You
can't.
have to feel that.
You can't
I mean,
explain it.
you can listen to the words come, like you can listen to us talk about all this, all that, but at the end of the day, like your own experience is what will bring you to Christ,
100%.
and that's what I
Exactly.
pray for anyone listening to that they have, and they give God room to do it.
It's hard to describe, but I think you just need that experience. And I guess people watching this, like, what would you say their first step would be if someone's going through a hard time and want to experience what we've experienced?
I think what you touched on was really important. He said it's not about just reading it, you know what I mean? And I think that's something that was taught to me in quite a good way. Like reading it, the word is religion. It's about relationship. What is your relationship with Christ? And I think your relationship with Christ is so personal to however you see it and you do it. I know, like, for example, I'm not the best at just reading it. Right? I won't just sit there and read the word for ages. It doesn't. That's not how I really count. I like to read it, but mine is about what is my intimate relationship with God. Do I give Him enough room in my day to pray to Him, talk to Him, give Him time to move? You know what I mean? Or am I still running off what I want for myself? Whereas even if He's got that foot in there, there's no room for me to move in what He wants or needs for me.
Can you
Love
just
that,
double tap on what you just said, religion? So I think people out there might be like, yeah, but Christianity is a religion, or like you guys are religious, right? We know what you mean, but like to the viewers out there, like what's the difference
I think
between?
like, and religion is like when it becomes about just what you're doing in terms of reading and your church, stuff like that. It's like
Yeah, it
you
just
can easily
works.
be religious and tick all the boxes, but it's like, do you have a relationship with
right.
Jesus Christ?
That's right.
And that is something. It's like, I think like a good way of putting it is like, you know, like I've heard this analogy before where it's like, if someone was to talk about Michael Jordan, who knows who Michael Jordan is, they'll say, you know, Chicago Bulls play one of the greatest of all times, done all those championships, did all that. If you were to talk about someone who knew Michael Jordan and had a relationship with him, what would they say? Oh, man, he's one of the
Very
best guys,
different.
so humble. He's helped me out here. You know what I mean? It's
Yes.
like you've got a
Very
relationship
different.
with him versus you know him.
Just
That's
the
so
book.
cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I
that's
think
so cool.
having a relationship with him is knowing Jesus,
Yep.
what he's done, what he's not only what he's done, but what is he to you?
Yeah. Love that, man.
What is your relationship with
So
him?
if someone's on the line, if someone's, you know, maybe gone through, you know, the debauchery, they've heard about God, they've heard about Jesus, they're not too sure. They're in that like one ear out the other. How do you think would be a way for them? Is it just wait for your journey? But you've also got to be open to the journey, right?
I think the power of prayer for me is something I never understood how powerful it is. It's like talk to him. He's your father. He wants to hear from you. He's waiting to hear from you.
And it doesn't have to be
Love that.
perfect.
No, it's- that-
People think you got to be like thou shall,
No,
you
that's-
know, like
bro.
speaking
Yeah.
old English. But I remember even Jamie when I first like, you know, I was one of the few people that, you know, talked to him about God. He was like, I don't know how to pray. It's like, what do I do? I was like, just get on your knees and just talk. Like, is it like he's a friend, like he's your dad.
Talk
like,
to him like he's your dad.
like literally just don't think about how perfect it is what you're saying. If you say the wrong thing,
I think it even touches
your
on the
heart.
Bible about he calls them the hypocrites anyway. Those that use those
Exactly.
language. It's like
Yes,
it's
that's
there.
right.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
there to be heard, not to be spoken
Exactly.
to. It's like there's no like. He sees our heart, and that's what I love about him, because it's like I may have done things in my life that I'm not proud of, but I know my heart's always been good. You know what I mean? I've done things that it's so out of character, but it's like I've always known I have a good heart. You know what I mean? I care about people. I have, you know, my true north when I'm following it has always been good, and it's like that's why I love. Like God sees that heart. And I know everyone out there, like we're not bad people. You might have done bad things, but that's not who you are. And it's like if you go to the core of what your heart is. Right? Who was you when you were like a kid? You know what I mean? When you're at your best time, when you're giving, you're serving, you're loving, like that is your heart.
Yeah.
It's like that's what God sees,
Yeah.
and He sees more than that.
Love that.
so your advice is just speak to him.
Speak to Him and give Him room to move. I think there's a lot of
think
people
humble
that will,
yourself,
you know,
yeah.
will
Humble
pray,
yourself,
will
yeah.
do things, but it's like, you know, even if He wants to move, you've given Him no space to. It's like have the faith to be like, okay, I'm gonna talk to you, I'm gonna speak to you, I'm gonna give you this, but I'm also gonna have the faith and give you room to move for me.
You hear stories. Sorry, buddy. You hear stories of someone in their like, you know, they're in their like the hardest moment or something, and they're like, God, I don't know if you're real. I don't know if you're out there. Like we've all heard someone say this, but if you're real, help me through this hard time. Help me maneuver my way, and then some miracles happen.
show
in their
me a
life.
sign and
Or
then-
show me a sign, and then like this is from a non-believer.
Yeah.
But having enough potential faith to be open, as you said, give him room. Be open to the fact that something amazing could happen.
Well, one of the things I picked up when I was reading the Bible, always when Jesus would do miracles and stuff like that, he never said it was him. It's always your faith is what did it. Your faith was beautiful.
So
your
that must
faith
be-
did this.
yeah.
It's always that the person's faith in the situation that
Yeah.
healed them. He never says, I heal. Like it's
Yeah.
not about him.
It's
It's
a
just
two-way
a-
thing.
yeah. It's like your faith is what did this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where it's like you can talk to God, you can give it to God, but if you don't believe it, or at least, you know, in your heart feel that it's possible, well, it's like your faith is what moves mountains.
Exactly.
It's
And
just
even
a-
if you don't,
Yeah.
So I was gonna say, even if you don't wholeheartedly believe it or experience it yet, if you sort of humble yourself, come with humility and say, God, maybe I actually don't believe in you. I'm struggling to see, I haven't experienced this. But if you
Yeah.
sort of, I'd love to reveal yourself. If you are real, reveal yourself. I'd love to know. And as soon as you open that, he guaranteed will move.
He's
That's the
always
way he
got
operates.
he's a gentleman. He's always got a foot in the door, but he's never going to knock it down himself.
We have
Yeah.
free will.
Yeah.
That's
He
right.
doesn't like. You can imagine if God created us, He wants us to initiate it. That's, you know, think of yourself as a father. Like you want your kid to be like, hey, I want to know you.
Yeah, but you don't
That's
want to
so more
impose.
genuine. You're not going to say, nah, I've revealed myself. I'm going to do this. I'm going to pop up in the sky, so you have to believe in me.
Yeah.
That's not what He wants, man.
It's like that lady that grabbed his cloak, you know?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
literally
yeah,
read about
Yeah,
that
bro.
as well.
Like, yeah, it's an amazing story.
Such a good story.
He turned around and he's like, "Who grabbed my cloak?" And
She
he's
got
like,
scared.
She got
Yeah.
scared
Your
because
faith is
she
what
was
healed
like
you.
shunned from the community.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Your faith healed you.
Healed you.
Your faith, knowing that if you just came close to me and touched me, you're gonna be healed."
That's crazy.
That's amazing.
I think it's a super important like thing to focus on. Is it's like your faith is the power. That's where the power is. So it's like if you can get yourself to a position where it's like you can humble yourself and you can believe, and it's I think people find it hard because it's like, you know, humans, we are like, I loved this when I learned about how like the one thing that us as humans can do that God can't do. There's only one thing. It's worship.
Have faith,
Yeah.
worship.
He can't worship. He's the highest of the highest.
Oh,
So it's like
oh.
we are the only thing.
Wow.
That's the only thing we can do as humans that he can't worship, right? And we are built to worship.
Yeah.
So it's like if you don't have, a lot of people talk about that thing missing. It's because we are worshiping all the profane. It's like you can
Yes.
worship sports,
Yes.
gambling, money, women,
Yes.
whatever it is. It doesn't matter. Everyone that you know will worship something.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's
That's right.
it's
You
it's
gotta
just
choose
what we're
your
built
own.
to
That's
do.
so good.
So it's like you need to find the right thing to put in your heart there
Yeah.
for you to worship. Because you're going to worship
gonna be
regardless,
something.
and
Yeah.
it tells you what to do. So
Yeah.
put Jesus Christ there, put your
wow.
worship towards
Yeah.
him, and watch that spot
Yeah.
be filled.
Whatever you sort of meditate on constantly. For a lot of guys, it's probably girls
Yeah.
or money or fame. Whatever you're sitting, like you're lying in.
I can
in bed at
guarantee
night.
anyone listening to this, all you have to do is ask yourself for 3 seconds, what do I worship? And you will know.
Yeah,
You'll know, you'll
deep
know
in your
straight
heart,
away.
Everyone
you'll be like, I
knows. Like everyone has something that they are literally just
Yeah.
chained to.
Speaking of what you just said, Bailey, about worshiping certain things, and a lot of people can worship relationships.
100%.
A lot of people can put their
partners.
identity in their partner or their family or whatever it is. And
Yeah.
don't forget that like God is the only one that will not let you down, but even your family can. How crazy is
People,
that to
we're
think?
all sinners. People will
Exactly.
let you down.
So in terms of like your family, you obviously have, is it your wife or fiance, girlfriend,
Partner.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And you've got 2 kids. So how are they? Have they come to faith as well, or what was your partner's
Yeah.
background?
So my partner was New Age spirituality.
No way.
And I came to Jesus, and he gave her 2 of the biggest encounters you've ever seen.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can't wait to hear this.
What happened?
What, through you?
Through. Well,
Well,
I
no,
can't
no,
do
no,
nothing,
no,
you know
no,
what I mean?
no,
But I
You
was,
took the
I
first
went on,
step.
boom, and I never, God protected me so much from that New Age spirituality. I never believed it.
same.
I
I
never
was
felt
deep in it, bro.
Same,
I
bro.
Yeah, he was
never,
bad.
it never
I was deep
once
in it.
scratched the surface, and it wasn't because I had Jesus there. I didn't even know him yet.
Mm.
But it's like I know he protected me from that for the right
You're lucky.
reasons,
Same.
and I never fell down that path. And when I mean my partner was so
What did she do?
into it. She was tarot cards, crystals.
He got into that. That's part of his
Kundalini,
fall.
everything.
Kundalini as
Bro,
well.
that's so popular in the social media influencer space. Like a
Yes.
lot of the girls that are like big into social media,
They all do
are
it.
all doing that
Why do you
stuff.
think he's being promoted so much? Why
the
do you
de-
think he's
it-
doing
because
so
it's the
well?
same
It's the
playbook.
devil, bro.
It's mimicking God's works, but in like the
And it's
devil's
in a
playbook.
self-serving
People,
way.
people
In a
forget
self-serving
that
way.
he's like the devil was a fallen angel. He's
He
God's
is.
first angel. He has the playbook.
He's the
It's-
prince
he
of
carries
He
it.
mimics
of
everything
earth.
that God does. Yeah.
And what
And
is
he's
it
not-
doing?
People think he's going to show up as this red deer. No,
Nah.
he's hey,
Yeah,
exactly.
let
And
me
what's
show
it-
you the
exactly.
way.
And
I'll
what's
do
it
it. Look, I
doing?
have all the answers, and it'll be 99% right.
Yep.
But it's the
One
1%.
1%. The 1%.
And what's it doing? It's pulling people away from God.
100%.
Exactly.
So
And into
what-
self.
But it's an illusion.
It's an illusion.
And you know what it is actually? I learned through watching was that spirituality makes you your God. You worship
that's
you. You're
so
the God.
true.
Yes, because it's whatever you feel,
You
whatever
feel. It's
you
always
do.
about
Serving
you.
your values.
Feelings. This is me.
Just-
I'm carrying. I'm doing. And it's like you try be God for a day and watch how it happens. And I guarantee you, how anxious were you when you were doing it?
Oh, bro, I was just like, it was like a
was a
band-aid
mess.
for 2 hours.
It was a mess.
It was an absolute mess.
I've
Like,
never
I went
met
through-
someone who went through that New Age spirituality who wasn't anxious and didn't have to practice 4 different breathing meditation, Kundalini every single
they
day
have
to
to
just feel
convince you.
normal. Then they have to do it again.
and they try to
Yes.
convince you, like, no, it's good, I'm amazing,
Yeah.
but they don't look amazing.
But the thing is as well, like I remember like I went to a few practitioners and I remember so vividly thinking like this person I'm about to see that's going to help heal me with a crystal or Reiki or whatever it is, I can tell they're messed up.
exactly.
yeah,
Like I
There's
always
always the blind leading the
Yeah.
blind.
look,
the devil mimics everything God designed for our greater
Correct.
purpose, right? So with New Age, as you said, the 99% seems good. Love yourself. Be your true self. Achieve your highest purpose. Love others. Everyone's welcome. Acceptance. That's great. But then don't forget that the more you go down this New Age track, there's 2 things that happen. The first thing is you actually open yourself up spiritually, but to the
Yes.
wrong thing.
Correct.
And then
what
once
happened
you're
to
in
him.
it, you go, wait a second, like there's actually no fulfillment still. I'm still asking for more healing. And you go so far down the track that now you're friggin' doing shamanism
you're too far gone.
with like your eyes closed and you're like milking like a cow in like the Amazon desert. Like, I don't know, like you go so far down.
And it's a practice that you have to keep on doing, and that makes you, and then your life becomes it, and you're never at peace. You're literally every day working for your peace.
And
It's
so
then you
I-
find Jesus Christ and you're like, peace.
Bro, it's just like that, isn't it? Like it's just everything you're looking for me personally for 10, 20 years. When I met Jesus like that.
Instant as well.
Just for the viewers as well, your partner is actually a very famous social media influencer model. She has a really successful clothing brand.
You can say model, makes me sound better.
Model.
yeah, supermodel,
Model. So like, I think for her especially, like,
supermodel couple.
I'll take
that's
it.
such a powerful message that God has placed, I guess, on her life. Because if someone like her with that, level of influence on, young women especially, can talk about how her practices in New Age didn't offer fulfillment, then she had an encounter with Jesus. Like, run us through sort of like what Chloe's, I guess, New Age experience was, and then what actually happened.
Oh, she was like anyone who knows her will understand. Like that was literally like it became her identity. It was everything.
What was she doing? Yeah.
Literally tarot cards, crystals, chakra healing, soul
And
retrieval.
she'd be promoting
Really?
this on her socials
like,
and everything.
like
yeah.
full head over biscuit. You know,
Far out.
like it was
Yeah.
everything. And then I had an experience. I went down my own path. Mine was with Jesus Christ, and I started, bringing worship music into the house. I had another friend with me who was, really into the Bible, was teaching, showing all this stuff. And I remember she was always anxious. And when I mean anxious, like extremely anxious, like such anxiety that like it was like she literally like I could just see it any minute she was going to bust. You know what I mean? It was like pressing, and I could see it, and I always knew it, and I would always say like, "Is this serving you?" You know, and you say it is, but it's like look at the fruits that you're bearing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I remember one night, right? We were standing on our back deck of our house, and we looked up. So she had her arms around me, and she said like, "I don't know." Like she was like crumbling a little bit, you know, and she said, "I don't know what to do." And she said, I think I want to give like Jesus Christ a go.
Wow.
And she was looking at the sky. We're both looking up at the sky, and she's like, "Jesus, if this is right, please give me a sign." Hands
There
in
you
the
go.
air,
That's
on
what I
God,
said,
wait for
yeah.
it, shooting star.
No way.
Yeah,
Wow.
on God, right?
Yeah.
And I'd say probably 2 weeks later, she started reading the Bible. She was looking at things, she was listening to things, but she had a massive, massive pull on the New Age stuff. It had her down, you know what I mean? Even still today, she's still breaking those chains. She can feel it, right? So we went on a trip to Noosa, had our trip, and she was still like through this and ahhing of like, you know what I need? She's like, she's like, I need to give more time to learning about Jesus.
Yeah.
As she says this, like on God, we get this thing on our like car maps, and it says hazard warning in like 6.8 kilometers. So we'll say, I've never seen that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've actually still never seen that since.
Yeah.
We get hazard warning. It's counting down. So I'm like, it must be a massive accident or something. Like, and it's warning us. We're driving down this road, driving around, and we get to, keeps counting down. We get to about 800 meters. We're looking, and we hit this like point where it was meant to be. There was no car, nothing there. We were like, what the heck? And I look at Chloe, and she's just, her eyes are watering, and she just points up. And we look up, and in this big, like written in blue paint on this rock on the side of a mountain, it just says, "Jesus saves you."
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Bro, you don't understand. I get so emotional over here.
Yeah.
You can't make
I
that
got
up.
goosebumps, bro.
And I'm talking like it counted down to the 100. I'll never even forget 6.8K. You
Bro.
know what I mean? It was boom, and it was counting. We were watching because
And that was the only thing there.
We were expecting some cracker accident or something. We were just like, be prepared. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? We get there, and I was like, oh, "There's nothing there." And I just looked at her, and she was looking out. It was behind me, and I was looking at her eyes, and she was just like welting. And she was like, "I can point up blue paint." Jesus,
Bro,
saves
I
you.
got
And I was
goosebumps.
like,
Did
And
you
God
get,
would have encountered her in that moment.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
Bro, her
anyone
crying.
else could have seen that and been like, "Oh, that's
But
weird."
imagine she wasn't just pointing. Oh, how funny is that?
Yeah, that's weird.
She was like emotionally like invested,
That's a God
emotionally
encounter.
affected.
And I'll tell you why. This is what I don't like with the New Age stuff. It's actually what it shows is you're already open spiritually. You don't have too far to go.
You're
you
so
know what I mean?
close,
You're
man.
not. The hardest people to talk about God is the ones that believe in nothing. You know what I
Science,
mean? Because it's
science,
like
yeah.
you don't like you see what's in front of you. That's it. And it's like that's very hard conversation. Whereas these people in New Age, like they're very open minded. You know what I mean? Like
And they're already
that,
searching.
they're that close to
100%.
being saved. You know what I mean? So all you need to do is have the right encounter with them, and they're already done. Like they're 99% there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's-
You're
yeah,
so
that's
right.
good.
You're so right. It's the atheists that are the hardest that don't believe in anything.
For sure.
I think you're so right because I was so deep in the New Age, bro. And like once I got possessed from the whole thing, I was like, all right, like there's something spiritual I know exists because of what happened, but then like God was like knocking on my door the whole time. You know, it wasn't hard to sort of
Yeah.
be open to it because you believe in a higher power. You don't believe in nothing. You don't believe in science. You don't believe in all these other things. You actually believe that there's something spiritual out there that's created all of us. And then once you find God, it's as you said, bro, like that hole, as you like to say, bro, like that God-shaped hole in your heart just
Yeah,
gets
just
filled straight away.
And you go, that's what it
And
was.
I think people as well need to understand one thing. It's like every single thing that you struggled with in terms of fulfillment and practical things like your marijuana addiction or my OCD and other things, bro. Like when you have that fulfillment in your heart is like closed and it's with God in it. Anything that comes at you is so easy. Like it's so tame compared to before.
Or you're supported and you're held through it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
It's
It's,
a-
like
it's
you don't
a
have to go.
different
You never go
experience.
through anything alone again.
Yeah.
You know
it's
what
a
I
different
mean?
experience, man.
Well, the storm's still coming, right?
Yeah,
like
every
the storm's
day.
still coming,
That's
but
right.
what happens is you have supernatural peace in the storm. Like you're still going to go through it, but you're like, this is my path. This is what I'm destined for.
It's
Rather than going like, oh, my world's falling apart. How am I going to get myself out? It's like, nah, this is meant for me. God brought me through this. What can I learn while I'm here?
Yep,
and that's
exactly
a completely
right.
different mindset shift. But operating in life from those two mindsets, you're a completely different person.
Yep.
Like I still have, a lot of struggles in certain areas, right? But the degree where they affect my life to the point where I feel hopeless is non-existent anymore.
Yeah,
Well
I
said.
know that whatever I'm going through now is going to be solved. I have absolutely no doubt.
Yeah.
Like I got for example, like when I got possessed, I got very badly damaged, bro, physically. really bad health problems and all these things happen physically to my body that still have, you know, not healed completely to this day. And like I'm walking around with like these weird things that have never happened to me before, but I'm like I'm so chill. It's like if this was my old self, I'd be stressing, anxiety, this doctor, that person, oh no, I gotta go to this person. What if it never heals? What if I'm like this forever? But like, bro,
You didn't
the
have those
peace I
thoughts.
have,
Yeah.
even though I'm still like semi-damaged, like I'm sweet, bro. Like
Yeah.
I've never been more fulfilled in my life,
Yeah.
given my circumstances.
Yeah.
But coming back to your relationship, so obviously your partner is a very successful entrepreneur. She's got, you know, her businesses. And I wanted to say this day and age, this new generation is quite forward thinking in terms of women being successful, being an entrepreneur, and even sometimes potentially being combined breadwinner or even the breadwinner. What's the dynamic in your relationship with having such a successful partner?
Yeah, it's so interesting. That's such a great question because we found since we've our relationship's built on God now, it's like it has changed a lot. It's you're very humbled by God, and that's Chloe's number one prayer every day. She says, "God, please humble me. I want you to humble me." And it's like we found through the humbling, like, you know what? It's not about being a boss bitch or a successful entrepreneur or any of those things. They ultimately don't matter. Yes, you need to, create a living to survive. But the most humbling thing you can do as a woman is raise your kids, be there for your family, and to create the next generation. And it's like I think there's such
love
an
that, bro.
emphasis.
Yeah.
There's such an emphasis now on all these women that have to be like this,
Alpha.
alpha,
Yeah.
but it's like there's a masculine and feminine that you can't ignore.
Exactly.
And like you can try and fight it, but it's like ultimately, and I think like that the society that's been created is to look down on that. In my opinion,
Yeah.
like, I'm a dad. I've been a stay-at-home dad a lot.
Yeah.
There is nothing harder than raising your kids. The most respectful
100%.
thing, or the most I look up to mums whose job is to be there in the trenches raising their kids. There is nothing more
100%.
inspiring to me than that. Like,
It's
go
almost
run your
like-
business, do that, cool. Congratulations, that's amazing. But there is nothing that is going to amaze me more than that
100%.
mum that is there in the trenches with her kids. They're the
almost like-
superhero.
100%,
It's almost
bro.
like diminished, like looked down upon, but it's the most amazing, most beautiful thing and hardest thing.
Hardest.
So many women say but it's almost like seen as like you're inferior,
Yeah.
or you're not good enough because you didn't become the boss bitch. It's like you just told us she is a boss.
She
bitch.
is the boss
She
bitch.
is a boss bitch, but she's come back to earth, humbled herself, and said, "No, whilst I have a lot of money and I'm successful, my number one priority and the most amazing and fulfilling thing that I can do is not just make money, is
Raise
raise
the
my
kids.
kids." That's insane.
And I
from
think
that
even
angle.
like leading the family, like as you know, men in the Bible especially are called to do. It's like I think that's amazing how you've led her to God. Like you as a man,
Well,
like that's
there's
such an amazing duty that you have in
There's a
terms of your family.
statistic on that. It's like my thing was if the woman of the house believes in God, the odds of your kids following God is 13%. If the man does, it's 93.
100%.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Really?
Yeah,
Well,
it is the man's duty to lead the house into
Yep.
God, and
Yep.
that's
Amazing.
like straight up, like you are it's on you. Like if
Yeah,
you're a
that's
man listening to this, that's your duty. Like
100%.
you might
That
have
makes
a
sense.
godly woman, but if it's not in you, well,
Yeah.
it stops at your generation
So,
pretty much.
so how do you personally like maintain that, I guess, godly dynamic with you guys, considering she's sort of like doing the business stuff and maybe you're doing something different? Like, how do you
She's
maintain
probably one of I know a lot of Christians that when I'm talking about practice, and do the things for God about the church. Bro, she is her day is about God. There's no
really?
she's literally
Crazy.
God first.
Yeah.
And I mean that over everything. Even she spends so much time with her Bible, praying to God, walking with God, better than I do, for sure.
Yeah.
She
Wow.
inspires
Wow.
me
That's
now when it
amazing.
What a
comes to the
turnaround,
relationship
bro.
with God. Everything that she does is about God now.
Has that changed?
Everything.
Has that dynamic changed? So what was it like, before you guys sort of found God and
Well,
things?
she was the breadwinner. She did everything.
But
She
did
was
that
the-
affect?
was that
did
hard on your
hurt?
ego?
Yeah,
Was it? Because a
Do you
lot
know
of
how
guys.
much I loved it when I got the chair? I said to it, we were going through. I said to her, "Can I?" I said because I'm a go-getter. You know what I mean? I have no problem doing that. But I say I gave you you have a really good business. You have a success thing. I created that space for you to go
You allowed
out
it
and
to
to
flourish.
thrive and to do
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I said, but if that's not what's serving you anymore, right? And you want to be a mom, you want to do those things. give me the reins.
Yeah.
I said,
Yeah.
I'll take them to tomorrow. I literally said to her, I did it. I said, I'll take them today. Every expense, everything, boom, give it to
I
me.
love that.
Wow.
That's a real man, bro.
Yeah,
That's a
I
real
said-
man,
I literally,
bro.
I said, give
Yeah.
me the, like, I don't want like, no half, nothing. I'll take it. Like,
man,
I'm
man.
built for this. I know I can do it.
Yeah,
you know
that's
what I
the
mean?
way.
You're
Let me
happy with
go.
either.
So good, bro.
You're happy with either. If
I
she
was
wants to be
giving-
the
yeah,
boss bitch,
if that's-
go
you
do
go
that.
for
If
it.
you want to stay at home, I'm happy to do either.
That's exactly
But
right.
that's a good relationship that you're both humble enough to do either or. It's not like the man has to be the breadwinner or the woman has to be a breadwinner. We're
support
like,
each other through
let's,
it, right?
Let's be not jealous of each other, not feel demasculinated. Because a lot of men do feel demasculinated. They feel like, oh, wait, I'm not the breadwinner. I just have to look after the kids. Am I not man enough? Is she going to respect me? But you guys are above that. It's like that's a superficial layer.
Yes.
It's like, okay, no, we are
Actually a
together.
team.
We're a
We're a
team.
team.
As opposed to
This
me
is a
versus you.
home.
It's
This
us
is a
versus the
team.
world. That's
Yes.
it.
Us versus the world, bro. Whatever
That's what
that
every
means.
guy wants as well.
Whatever that means. Let's not, talk about the little details. Whatever it is, we're both successful. We're both making money and we're both looking after our kids.
Yep.
That's, I think, how it
That's
should
powerful,
be.
man.
I think a lot of
Yeah.
guys, including some of us here, like it's like you've obviously, got a partner, you've got kids at the moment as well. I just think this came to my head now, like the boys would find a lot of value in this. Like, how do you choose the right partner? How do you know this woman's gonna support you from day one through thick and thin? And how do you know that she's the one essentially?
Bro, honestly, God bless me. When I look back at it, man, I was the luckiest guy ever. When I through the seasons that she stayed with me and like the way she supported me through times where it's like I can honestly say I wouldn't have probably supported her in the same way she did for me. Like,
Really?
yeah, like she has been like, I've been so blessed with her. Like I know that was ordained by God, and I know if I didn't have her on my side through most of that, there's no way I would have gotten through it and came out the same side I did. Like
Wow.
God gave me her to always make me want to be better. And it was always her raising the standards and setting the bar, and it was me following. And it's like,
That's a good partner, bro.
yeah, now it's like, like we've gotten through so much where it's like, I know she's the person I want to be with forever. And I know that like I've got to experience both. I know how hard it is
the
to do
proposal
things
coming
both.
soon? She's watching now. She told me to
You
say
can do
that.
it on this show if you
She
want.
told me to ask you. She's like, hey, when you can, drop it in.
Yeah, well,
I'm kidding.
in due time.
Yeah. Everything has its time, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just feel very like, man, when I look at it, I know that God gave her to me for a reason. And I feel like, the next season that's to come for us, like now I feel like I've got the reins, and I think that
done.
like I've been prepared. I always feel like, you should never be looking for what you've been prepared for. You know what I mean? Like every day is your purpose. You know what I mean? But it's like I know I have this feeling of connectedness that like, everything that I've been blessed with and taught and gone through up until this point is for this next season in my life. And
Come
I feel
on,
like
bro.
it's really time
Yeah.
that I'm going to grab the reins on, not only our relationship, but my life and what I'm going to do with God. And I feel like
Amazing.
it's, this is that she has prepared me for this season in a way, and then the fruits are going to start to come.
So
Well,
what's
that's amazing.
Power. That's the
Yeah.
power
That's
of
an amazing
finding
testimony.
a partnership or even creating a partnership.
Yeah.
I know we sort of, partly of it was sort of God sort of orchestrating that as well. But is there, I don't know, certain characteristics, some of us as single guys,
Yeah.
is there certain characteristics
I'm
or
not single.
No, me and Jamie, is there certain characteristics or things we can look at and be like, that's something we should be looking for as a man who sort of found what you're looking for?
wants more for you.
Yep.
Is a massive one, I think. Someone that accepts you as you are, like, yes, they're great, but it's like someone that
Drives
that
you,
literally
bro.
sees
Drives
the
you,
best
bro.
in you that you don't even see in yourself.
Yes.
And
Oh,
wants
that,
to bring
man.
out the
I
best
love
in
that.
you.
Yeah.
Wants
That's
you to
so
be
good.
successful. Claps for you for everything.
They see a part of you that
Yeah.
you don't see in yourself, and they do their best to bring that out of you. And I learned, like, those times where I thought she was nagging or she was talking down, you know what I mean, or annoying. It's like, no, she just saw how much better I could be, and she didn't want me to be someone that she knows that I'm better than, and she's held that me to a high standard when it comes to that.
I love that.
Wow.
All right, cool. So you just said, bro, next season, we're going all in. We're taking the reins. Big things are coming, and I can see that on you as well. Obviously, God's orchestrated and taking you through this journey. Even when you weren't walking with Him, He was walking with you. What's next?
What's next for
Yeah,
Mitchie?
what's
What
next for
excites
Mitchie,
you,
mate?
and what's like,
So I think, like, when I was in church not long ago, I heard that this, and it resonated with me so much, and I've got this. I said, I know what's coming. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For me, I know, and it was interesting. It says Jesus doesn't say to be disciples; He says to make disciples.
Absolutely.
Right. And my whole life, I've proved like I I can build things, you know what I mean? I can bring people together and I can do things. And now I've done it. I've served all of these different things, but it's like I haven't served my God yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think he's taught me the skills to do so. And my new goal is going to be to bring people to the Lord. And it's like,
Love
instead
that.
of just, and I'm doing it in a different way than I'm used to, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm not just going out there and promoting this. No, I'm building from the inside. Like Jamie would know, like I've built this group on the Gold Coast, Brothers in Christ. There's 70 strong Christian
Yeah,
men in this
Love
group,
that,
you know
bro.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, I know
It's awesome.
I know like the strength when it comes to that and the unity. And my thing is I'm just going to keep serving the Lord. I don't want anything for myself. I want what God wants for me.
Yeah.
And I know that he's moving in. Like I have a feeling that one day, like I'm going to be preaching. That's
I
Wow.
could see it,
my
bro.
gut
I can see
feeling.
that.
Yeah,
Honestly,
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say
And
that.
when I thought that, right, the last 6 weeks, I've emceed 2 weddings and spoken at a school to 450 kids, and I can just they just came up randomly, one after the one after the other, and I was like, I didn't even want to do them, and it's like, yes,
Yeah.
I'm just saying yeah, and I just I know that I'm being prepared, I'm learning how to talk, I'm getting better in front of audiences, I'm getting my theology's getting up to scratch, I'm hanging around with the right people, our
Amazing.
pastor at our church invited me to his Connect group, I'm going through the process, and I
God's
think-
working, man.
I love that,
See how
bro.
all the different puzzle pieces
Yeah.
are coming together?
Yeah.
Even sometimes we didn't even know. A lot of the time we didn't even know. Like God's preparing you.
And we can see the excitement on you as well,
Bro,
bro.
yeah.
Like you
We
can
can
see,
see- we can
like,
feel the
It's
passion.
genuine,
Yeah.
bro.
I'm sure you didn't promote clubs with that much fulfillment and excitement. You know what
Boy,
I mean?
just
Like,
come in, bro.
And I'm sure never in a
There's
million
chicks,
years
like,
you would
you're
have
gonna
thought
be
you'd be
mad.
doing
you
this
can
either.
tell there's purpose attached to that, just the way you're speaking about it as well. It's like, you know, this is the right thing.
And you know it's
it comes
real.
across.
Club promoted to God promoter. Let's go. That's your slogan.
That's a slogan right here.
That's awesome,
I
bro.
love
Right.
that. It's a bumper sticker.
Incredible episode.
Perfect way to
Unfortunately, we're
finish.
about to get kicked out.
Just quickly, this is what we love to do with every guest.
Yes.
You know, we got people who might be in a younger you in your situation, maybe pursuing the club promoter lifestyle or anything, and that's fine if they are. But is there 3 key takeaways? I know you probably say God is one, but
Yeah.
up to you.
Yeah.
That people can implement today or
Right
straight away that will help them have a better life right now.
I think discipline's a really important one.
Yep.
Because it's sacrificing, what's good today for what's good for your future. And I think you can't really get too far in life without discipline of some spiritual discipline,
Agree.
physical discipline, even just your mind, you know
Yep.
what I mean? Not letting your mind run wild. Like
Ooh, yes.
having
That's so
discipline
good.
over that is like, and it's hard. Like discipline's so hard, but it's like once you start to practice it, it just,
Completely.
it gets easier.
Yeah.
Obviously I'll say, I can give you all the information you want, but there's a very good book that will teach you everything. It's
Yeah.
been around
Wonder what the name
thousands
is.
and
What's it?
thousands
Love it,
of
bro.
years.
What's
It's
it? What's
the
it called?
Holy Bible. I'm telling
Written
you.
by
Love it,
who authored the book?
There's a lot of authors.
The king. And the third thing I would say is life's pretty I think with social media and stuff and with this generation of quick dopamine, like it's so easy just to compare and to look at what everyone else is doing and feel like you're not doing enough, where it's like, bro, life is meant to be pretty simple. You know what I mean? If you've got like any sort of stability, you got family, a partner, anyone that loves you, that's around you, like you're already doing better than 99% of people. You're winning. You know what I mean? There's nothing like the most impressive thing you can do is be a good person, right? And that to me is if you can just be a good person in your day-to-day life, don't worry about all the other shit. It's all noise. You know what I mean? And it's all, I guarantee you, 90% of those people you're looking at that you think you wish you had their lives, they don't even want their lives.
Yes.
So be grateful, be humble with what you've got. Like, you're blessed, you know what I mean? And I think that like you could already count on, I could probably tell anyone who's listening 3 things and they'll be blessed for, you know what I mean? It's like you're breathing, you're here, you got, and it's true, you know what I mean? There's so many people that don't have those just simple things. So it's like, we are all blessed, you're blessed, and just pay attention to that because you can always have more, but you can always have less.
Amazing.
Love it, bro.
I love that. And Mitchie, just for the viewers out there, if they want to sort of follow you on your journey, where can they find you?
Probably Instagram's probably the only place. I must admit, I'm not a massive poster anymore. I don't really show
It's
off.
just wholesome
my life.
family
Yeah,
stuff.
I just-
Yeah.
I just sort of live now, but you'll
man.
catch me mostly on Instagram at Mitchell Orville.
Cool.
Awesome, bro.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming in, bro.
Thank
Really
you, man.
appreciate you coming into the locker room and sharing some absolute wisdom about your entire life, crazy testimony. And to finish off this episode, we'll give a quick shout out to our sponsors, Getaways.
The boys and I are blessed to be partnering with Getaways, who have some amazing short stay homes all around Australia. Whatever the occasion, whether it's a trip away with your boys, a family holiday, or even a surprise vacation for your partner, Getaways has you covered.
Make sure you guys go ahead and check out Getaways on their website or on their social media platforms. We'll be leaving the link in the description below.